Welcome to Scrammble Game Show. My name is Ifay Chang. I welcome you to this show. Today, we have an interesting story to tell you. We have an interesting guest who is going to spend half an hour with us talking about two questions. These two questions probably going to be a surprise to you. The first question is, who and when, how America is discovered? You probably say, that's a trivial question. I know the answer. Hold on. Okay, we'll wait till the end. You tell me whether you have the answer or not. Then the second question is, where, when, and how the American Indians or our Aboriginal people in America came from. Okay, that one I would say you probably won't have a immediate answer. That is always been sort of questionable. So we are trying to spend this half an hour to talk about some evidences that we have discovered and shared among many scholars. And the guest here today is Mrs. Charlotte Harris Rees. She has been doing research on this topic for many, many years and has written several books. In fact, she's writing another book, which will come out soon. We probably will learn a lot from her just in a short half an hour. So stay tuned. Let's welcome our guest, Charlotte. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
We have a short half an hour time to talk about these two questions because we heard about your work and you've been on our show, talked about the ancient maps and your father's work and your work and how you connected with other scholars, sort of searching for the answer or proof for these questions. So here we try to summarize, okay, and you can sort of bring any point first as you wish, and the whole purpose is finding enough sort of a convincing evidence to answer those two questions as just posed. And I think that's so exciting. I hope that our audience will stay tuned and watch to the end. And nowadays, I tell you, when you watch TV, at least myself, I often have difficulty to stay on with the program from beginning to end because many the programs, I just find them that kind of boring. They are not informational. In terms of entertainment, sometimes it kind of not even very entertaining, but yet they go on and on and on. So let's talk about these two questions, okay? Where you want to begin?
Well, maybe I'll begin with my father. Mm-hmm. In 1972, my father, who was born in China to missionary parents and spoke Chinese as early as he did English, he found an ancient map. Mm-hmm. And he said that this indicated that Chinese came to America thousands of years ago, and it appeared that they came by sea. Mm-hmm. And so he did a lot of research, and he wrote a book about that. And at the time, I was very much a skeptic, and I wasn't really interested in it. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until 2003 that I read another book, and it piqued my interest, and I thought, maybe my father was right. I better check this out.
The other book referred to your father's work?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, no, the other book I read was actually Gavin Menzies' book.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, mm-hmm. but he was saying that Chinese got to America before Columbus. Mm-hmm. So obviously, if Chinese came to America thousands of years ago, as my father said, they got before Columbus. But this other map by Gavin Menzies, book by Gavin Menzies said
1421?
1421, mm-hmm. Right. That year that Chinese had come to America. Mm-hmm. So that made me go back and pick up my father's research and contact some people, academic people, to say, okay, has all this that my father said in a book that he wrote in 73, has that been disproved? And they said no. In fact, there's so much more new evidence out. And so since 2003,
So your father, Hendon Harris, published the book in 1973.
Correct.
Yeah. He's passed away.
Yes.
When did he?
81.
Oh, 1981.
Right.
Oh, so it's quite a long time after his death. You actually picked up the work.
Right. For years, the maps were just in a box under my brother's bed. And so it was after I picked up Gavin Menzies' book.
On the maps, that's number one evidence. On the maps, there are indications of locations that is already known thousands of years ago, and that location correlated with America.
Right.
And particular one is where California, the sequoia tree has grown there, and it was shown on the map and so on, right?
Right.
So that's one important evidence that showed this connection that 1,000 years ago the Chinese have recorded in the map what has discovered in America.
Right. They recorded on the map, but also in other texts, mention of these enormous trees that they saw and descriptions of the trees, which had to fit sequoia, that they had seen.
Then what would be the second sort of a area or evidence to point to this?
I would probably say DNA is the strongest evidence at this point. Probably it's the strongest evidence for all of us about our paternity. Some people are surprised when they do DNA testing what they find out. And I think that in recent years, several people have really been surprised. I brought up in the last program about Yo-Yo Ma, whose parents were the first generation, or they thought they were the first generation of his family out of China, and they had in writing all the generations back to 1217 in China. So it had to be sometime before 1217. But they were doing this TV show on American celebrities, of which, of course, Yo-Yo Ma is one. And when they did his DNA studies, they had recently done a study on Eva Longoria, just by chance. And they said, Yo-Yo Ma, you're related to Eva Longoria.
Well, explain to us what Eva Longoria is.
Okay, she's Native American ancestry, and she said that her family had lived in the area of Texas since before the Mayflower. So they had been there for a long time in that area, and yet their DNA shows that they're related.
It's very interesting. Yes. Yeah. So that's a very modern sort of evidence. Okay, and this evidence certainly can go on. And perhaps more people will, pursue in this direction.
I'm hoping that it will. I know that many of the African Americans have gone back to Africa with their DNA studies, and they found even what country they're from, what tribe they're from. And I'm thinking that in the next few years that this will happen with Chinese people and Native Americans. And the interest seems to be more from the Chinese side. Native Americans have many legends. Many of them still believe that they sprung from the land or something like that. But
that's partly because we've been sort of teaching people that is the theory. Right. So once you have evidence pointing possibility and otherwise, then maybe people will try to investigate and find out.
I'd like to tell you a funny story about this. I was on Coast to Coast Radio a couple years ago, and I spoke about the DNA, and this Native American sent me an email, and he was very angry with me, and saying, how can you refute our legends? How can you say this? And I said, well, this is what DNA says. And so then I started explaining to him that most Chinese babies are born with a blue spot at the base of the spine on the buttocks. And he said, my children were born with a blue spot. In fact, one of them had
very common in China.
Yeah, but with the Native Americans have this too. And so he wouldn't believe DNA, but he believed the blue spot because he said one of his children got sick, had to go back to the hospital. They thought he'd been beating the child. And he said, oh, no, this runs in my family. Well, it's not only the blue spot, but there's also a special type of teeth. And the Native Americans, many of them have this type of teeth. And when they study the ancient skeletons, they have that same type of teeth.
Isn't there also in the Indian language, there's certain words and sound that
well, there's several
same
different.
as the Chinese language?
We know there are many different languages among the Indians. There's certain tribes that have more. One of the sayings that some of the Indians say is "ayah."
This is a famous Chinese. Chinese like to say "ayah." It's sort of surprising exclamation.
I was watching Dances with Wolves, which was they said it's in the genuine Lakota language.
Yeah.
And they offered the American soldier some food, and the American soldier offered the Indian some food, and he said, "Buyao."
Oh, that's
I
Chinese.
don't want. That's Chinese. That means I don't want.
Yeah.
And from the old westerns, movies.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the Indians would say to when they would meet you?
No,
They would say "hao."
Oh, yes.
Ni hao.
Hao. Ni hao.
Yeah. So you have a lot of these similar type of words. Now, after separation from thousands of years, of course, many of the words were same.
Yeah.
And some of the Korean and Japanese words are also in some of the tribal languages. So you can't just say, that the Chinese people
But the Japanese, Korean are related to Chinese anyhow.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that the preponderance of the DNA evidence is from China.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So do you know any university or, biologist or anybody that is still pursuing or doing this kind of DNA work?
Well, the interesting thing is the DNA studies, most of them have been done by pharmaceutical companies because different ethnic groups...
they have to do tests on drugs.
Right, because they respond differently to medicines. Like, for instance, Asian children cannot take Tamiflu. Which Caucasian children can, or Caucasian people can. And so they do these genetic studies. So these studies haven't been done by Chinese people trying to prove that they're related to the Indians. They've been done mainly by Caucasian pharmaceutical companies that are trying to find the different ethnic groups, the study of the Native American DNA.
So become a byproduct, they discovered this kind of historical significance. Yeah.
Right, and then there was a biologist from Australia who came across this. He's a microbiologist, came across this evidence, and he was a Mormon, and it contradicted Mormon doctrine. And so he took it to the Mormon church, and anyway, he left the Mormon church, and then they excommunicated him. So they didn't want to hear this because they felt that it contradicted Mormon doctrine.
It was the religion, yeah.
But he did a book that has a lot of information. At the end of the book, it's mainly about his inner conflict, because you can understand he was a bishop in that church.
Oh, he's a bishop in the Mormon.
He was a bishop in the Mormon church, and he ended up losing his family over this.
I see. Is the book, you know the title of the book or the author name?
Okay, let me see. It was one of the ones that I had down here. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'll take our time to...
It is... I'm sorry, I'll have to give that to you later.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So this, I think I remember seeing some on the internet that the communications among the Mormons, and there are a lot of even videos and people giving presentations and so on. But all of a sudden, they all disappeared, being taken off. Yeah. When you click them, they're no longer available. for example, all these YouTube type of presentations. So I wonder, this definitely is probably caused some controversy among the.
Okay, this man's name is Dr. Simon Sotherton.
Oh, yes, Simon Sotherton.
Sotherton.
Yeah.
And he's from Australia.
Simon is Simon. Sotherton is Southerton.
Right,
Sotherton.
Simon Sotherton.
Okay.
Losing a Lost Tribe. That's
right. Losing a Lost Tribe is the title of the book. But at the back
of the book, it shows the studies of the tribes that they had done.
Yeah.
Now, at that time, I think that they had done 175. Now they've done 200 tribes. Or when I communicated with him. He wasn't interested in this showing anything about the Chinese, but it does show that it's the haplogroup A, B, C, and D,
right.
which is what the Han Chinese have.
Just by coincidence, the Chinese also did some classification of their DNA studies.
Right.
So it correlates. That's very interesting. Now, you also brought some maps here, particularly this giant map.
Okay.
What is the significance of that?
Okay, this is actually not a map, but a time chart history of the world. And one of the things that most people don't realize is how long Chinese history is.
Oh, certainly, yes.
Yes.
In this country, I mean, we have a few hundred years, but they're talking about thousands of years, so at least a factor of 10. And it's very hard for children studies, to say, well, we study Civil War, we study this and that, a few years period of time, versus the Chinese kids. They have to, in 1 year, one semester, they have to cover, 1,000 years, because otherwise they couldn't cover all history.
Right, and for most of history, China had the most advanced culture on Earth. People say, oh, this couldn't happen, but Chinese have, just in the year 2000, just a few years ago, they completed an exhaustive study. They said, how far back does our history go? And it involved hundreds of scholars, and they decided that it went back to about 2070 BC.
Oh, BC.
That's for the first dynasty.
Yeah.
And so this is a time chart history of the world, and I will give you part of this.
One at a time, so we could slowly.
Okay, so this is about 2000 BC. So
how do you open this?
Okay, you start pulling that end.
Okay.
And this gives how long the Chinese history goes back.
Oh, I think we have to do my end first. And then slowly unfold.
We might have to do this.
And this?
It goes about 12 to 14 feet long.
Right.
And about how all these different cultures spread out. With those who are scholars of the Bible, there would be about time of Abraham and Sarah.
I am holding the latest period, right? The year 2000 around here.
Right.
So this part actually, we are pretty familiar. I mean, the president, Lyndon Johnson or Stalin or these people. And then going over to 1900, all right, I'm going to fold this slowly. And then as you go earlier, this is 1800, 1700 rather, 1700, that's where independence. Okay, this is American history, but of course there's lots of stuff, particularly about scientific inventions, or like telescope or this air balloon, things like that. This is very interesting. You say this? Who published this?
This is from Barnes and Noble. It's a time chart history of the world, and it's also available on the internet.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, but
this is amazing.
It is an amazing tool, and when I give my speeches, and I've given speeches in many different locations in the world, I like to take this and for people to see how very long.
So Chinese your end to the end, that is 2000 BC.
Right. From if I would back up here.
Yeah.
Say, let me go across this part of the room, and then if you would back up there, you see how very long the history is.
Right. And suddenly, I mean, right now I'm holding the American history part in my hand.
It's about 2 pages for the American history, and
Okay.
many other pages
Good.
for Chinese
I don't want to
history.
ruin it. I got to be careful how that fold is.
It's fine. We'll just put it back here.
Okay, good. That's very interesting. Yeah. So the ancient maps is now collected in your book. This book title called Ancient Maps.
The first
Secret
book,
Maps of
Secret Maps of the Ancient World.
Right.
Right. And first I did an abridgment of the book that my father wrote,
Right.
which is the Asiatic Fathers of America.
Right.
And I did that. And then I did Secret Maps of the Ancient World. And then I did this in 2008.
Then you did the daughters another book.
Okay, and then I did Chinese Sailed to America before
Chinese,
Columbus. Now this one is mainly about the maps, to explain the maps in my father's collection and other related maps. I'd like to tell a story just briefly from
go ahead.
this. I have a few other related maps. One of the maps is a 1602 map that was made in China. And people say, okay, 1602 is definitely after Columbus.
Right.
Okay, but this map, 1602, was, remember Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement was 1607, so this was before then. It shows on the map, on the Great Plains, United States Great Plains, shows buffalo and horses. Now, how did they know that there were buffalo there, you know, unless somebody had been there? Now, Chinese, we know about Zheng He's enormous ships. You know, he was a Chinese admiral that sailed the seas from 1405 through 1433.
Right.
But in 1433, China shut down to the outside world.
Right. They forbidden the people sail out. Yeah.
People couldn't sail. And then that stayed for several hundred years. So if Chinese knew in 1602 about
Buffaloes.
buffaloes and horses on the Great Plains,
Yeah.
that had to have been from before they shut down, which was 1433. It had to have been from that prior period of time. Well, on this map, in Chinese, of course, it's all written in Chinese, and the Catholic priest, Matteo Ricci, he collaborated with the Chinese to make this map, but he had never been to the Americas, so how could he know about this? But on the map, on the eastern coast, they had in Chinese Bahama, the Bahamas. Down in South America, they have the words Mayan. And there's some type of structure. So they have different things on this map, and they're thinking, okay, well, we knew about the Bahamas.
And how genuine is that 1602 sort of identified?
Oh, it's genuine. You can go on the internet and actually see pictures of the 1602 map. And there's another gentleman, Dr. S.L. Lee, who has actually written a book about the 1602 map. You know, he's found other evidences on the 1602 map that the Chinese were the ones that did this information. For many years, they said it was from this Catholic priest. You know, he's from Europe. How does he know this about the Americas? How does he know this about these other places? Well, obviously, Chinese had to have been there. Another interesting thing is that when the first Europeans get to the Americas, they get to the East Coast. They draw the whole country and draw the West Coast and the Bering Strait. They didn't even get to the Bering Strait for hundreds of years later. So how did they know the Bering Strait was there?
That's interesting, yes.
You know, so...
Well, that wasn't this, then the assumption or the theory is that they already had a map to use in order to come to East Coast of America.
Right. That was the assumption.
Right.
And so there's another gentleman named Chao Chen who's written books about the maps, the European maps, knew too much too soon.
Yeah. So all of that information is in this book or not?
This book is mainly about my father's maps, but I have a little bit about the 1602 map and other related maps.
And then can you review a little bit about your new book? Is it going to cover all this additional?
Well, I can't talk too much about my new book yet, but I can tell you it's going to be really exciting because it has even more bombshells in it. And you're not really supposed to talk about the new book until it's out.
That's fine. We just look for
But
another time.
If people, I suggest to people that they read the Secret Maps of the Ancient World first, because that is a summary of the information.
But certainly, up to this point, there are already many people seem to be become believers already, and there are people drawing cartoon to indicate, and there are people writing story novels. All right, sort of under this assumption. There's one novel book called what? The Daughter.
Her Mother's Daughter.
Mother's Daughter.
Right.
Yeah. What's the? This is something related to Virginia, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Can you tell me a little about the novel?
Well, the novel is based in Virginia. Someone I know did this novel. What I said was a lot of people don't want to read a history book. You know, my book is basically a history book. They want to read a novel.
Yeah.
So this is set in Virginia, and a school teacher is trying to teach in the schools that Chinese beat Columbus. And it ends up to be a big debate about this because some of the Italians, they don't like this because you know, they think that their boy's being ousted, and so the teacher comes before the school board, and in giving her defense, she gives this book in a nutshell.
Oh, I see. Interesting, because I serve on the school board. In fact, the election's coming up on May 21st, Tuesday. I'm the only incumbent running for the school board again. This is interesting. People come to the school board actually protesting that someone...
I'll have to send you a copy of the novel.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I know Italians somehow all believe Columbus discovered America. So this is a bombshell to them.
Right.
But I am... just like you, and really started out as very skeptical about all this.
Right.
But you have to be objective when you read things and so on, and the evidence comes up, and particularly scientific evidence coming up. You start, have to believe.
I'd like to open debate, and you know, I am not 100% right on everything. You know, nobody is.
Yes.
But like I said, I built my book with a lot of evidences from a lot of different viewpoints.
Okay, good. Well, we'll wait for your new book, and we'll invite you back again, okay? And our time's running out, and thank you for joining us. And this is a fascinating topic, and we'll continue this on. Hopefully, our show will stir up more interest. And let me close out with the audience. Now, all right, you probably heard about this, at least a part of it, because it's a short time, but we are talking about very serious topic. It's a history, but this history is significant because it could change a lot of things, and in a way that we now understand how people are related, how people are, really in a very closer family than we thought it would be. For example, Indians, American Indians are related to Chinese, and their DNA prove it, and that is very, very significant. So maybe you should stay tuned with our program and looking for this kind of a discussion. We always welcome scholars, professionals to come on our show and discuss very interesting topic. So thank you for watching. Good night.